Looks like he's going to jump off the San Bernardino Freeway at extreme speeds here. That is not what you want to do on these off-ramps. You want to take these about 35 miles per hour. You'll have to hit the brakes real hard to come to a stop here at the end of that off-ramp, and we're going to try to find out what exit this is. Coming around the bend, getting right back on the freeway, running that red light. Extremely dangerous. And I can tell you off the nose of the helicopter, I can see the LA County Sheriff's deputy. He's right behind this guy. He's right on top of this guy. Law enforcement, they're on top of him as well. Now, I thought he got back onto the freeway, but he didn't. He stayed on surface streets, and there he goes at about 50, 60 miles per hour, running red light after red light. This is real easy for someone to get injured or killed. And at one point, sheriff's deputies and CHP officers, what they might want to do is stop, pull back, and just keep the air unit overhead, the police helicopter, to track this guy's every move. This could get extremely dangerous on surface streets. Saw pedestrians there on the sidewalk, and it looks like there's only one eastbound lane and one westbound lane as we continue eastbound on the south side of Interstate 10, working our way into Upland. Looks like we're not too far from the Mountain Avenue off-ramp up ahead. I can see Euclid as well as he continues eastbound in these very dimly lit neighborhoods. And as you can see there on the wrong side of the road, one thing this guy's got going for him is a very powerful SUV. Those are big block V8s. And this is going to be Palo Verde, I believe. Palo Verde eastbound, about a quarter of a mile south of Interstate 10. The street that he's on is very narrow, a lot of stoplights, a lot of stop signs. Just passing Central now, eastbound Palo Verde in the Upland area. This is extremely dangerous, not only for that guy being pursued, for law enforcement officers, other motorists as well. And you saw that narrow miss right there. Went to the wrong side of the street. He could have gone head-on into that guy. And that SUV, it's extremely heavy. He makes contact with somebody, and there are going to be severe consequences. Mentioning the power plant for that Chevy Suburban, those are big V8s. They are very powerful. They've got tons of power to get up and get going. Top speeds, really remarkable. I'll make that right turn here in just a second. They are gas hogs, however. I can tell you that. Some of those Chevy Suburbans I hear tell of 10, maybe 12 miles per gallon. So unless he's got a full tank of gas, and those do have big gas tanks, but without that full tank of gas, there's only so far this guy can go. And these are stellar speeds. I'll put this guy at about 55, 60 miles per hour. And this is a surface street where you should be traveling 35, maybe 40 miles per hour. This is going to be Mountain Avenue southbound out of the Upland area, and he's about 2 miles south of Interstate 10, approximately 2 miles north of the Pomona Freeway. And this is going to be in the Ontario area now. Worked our way out of Upland into Ontario, continuing into the Inland Empire. And as dangerous as this was when it was on Interstate 10 just a few minutes ago, from my perspective, I believe this is more dangerous on these surface streets. There are just too many stop signs and too many red lights. And now we're hearing from police officers they're going to go into surveillance mode. So it sounds like what they're going to do on the ground is back off. They don't want to spook this guy and make him do something extremely dangerous. So far, it doesn't appear as though anybody's been hurt. But at these speeds, on these surface streets, and a rig that big and that heavy, somebody could get hurt or even killed. Now, even if law enforcement officers on the ground, sheriff's deputies, CHP officers, other municipalities, even if they go into surveillance mode and pull back so as not to spook this guy, there's still a police helicopter overhead. They're tracking this guy's every move. That helicopter, it's almost impossible in a rig that big to get away from the helicopter. And then in time, if the guy slows down or pulls over and stops, that helicopter can radio ground crews into this guy's exact location. You can see it's kind of dark, but the windows appear to be tinted, so it'll be very difficult for crews to tell how many people are inside, in addition to the driver, willing participants, and people perhaps who don't want to be there. Just make that right turn westbound on Holt Avenue, and that's going to be once again in the Ontario area. Looks like he's going to wind his way west back toward the Kellogg interchange where he came from just a few short minutes ago. Around all this traffic here, if he makes that turn, that right turn, that'll put him back onto the freeway. It looks like he might try to do that. See where he goes next. That's once again, we're through another red light there, eastbound on Harupa, and you'll see Interstate 15. He's actually crossing on top of the 15 now, so he's not going to get back onto the freeway. Steering clear of the 15, steering clear of the 10. We've tracked this guy out of the San Gabriel Valley, now into the Inland Empire, and showing no signs of slowing down. Speed limit's posted, as you just saw on the bottom of the screen, about 40 miles per hour. He's doing that and then some. I'd put him at 55, maybe 60 miles per hour. Fortunately, a green light at that point, but we can't tell you how many red lights and stop signs this guy has run. We've seen him driving on the wrong side of the road a number of times, and unfortunately those windows are tinted on that large Chevy Suburban, so we can't tell if there's anyone else inside that vehicle besides the driver. Speed's estimated now between 60 and 70 miles per hour. This guy is really hitting it fast and hard on surface streets. You can see speed limits posted here at 50. He's well beyond that, and all the times he's been dodging and weaving and bobbing, it's amazing he hasn't caused an accident. So far, no reports of any injuries. Now we're at about 70 70 miles per hour, which is just brutally dangerous on these surface streets, particularly this time of the afternoon. It doesn't appear to be too congested right now, but Harupa eastbound, just east of the 15 in the Inland Empire, this is a very heavily populated industrial area. So a lot of folks, as you can imagine, they're transitioning. It's 6:30, 6:40, right around there. A lot of folks getting off of work, leaving these factories, leaving these office buildings, and getting onto these major surface streets. And this is a recipe for disaster. Harupa eastbound, and the next major intersection is going to be Etiwanda, showing no signs of heading down toward any freeway. 10:15 or the 60. Just continuing eastbound on Harupa. We did cross Etiwanda just a moment ago, and once again, if there are law enforcement officers behind him, now I can't even see police officers. They went into surveillance mode earlier. There may be one unit behind that guy, but aside from that, there's only an air unit, a police helicopter on top of him. The only guy on top of this guy is the police helicopter. Every now and again, you'll see that bright light coming down on that large Chevy Suburban. That's the police helicopter overhead. They've got a night sun attached to the nose of the helicopter, so they're tracking this guy's every move. And he may know that. He may see the lights and understand it's a police helicopter, but on the ground in that car, there's no way he could identify the police helicopter up above him. For all he knows, it's Air 7 HD or any helicopter, but indeed that is a police helicopter. Passing Sierra now, eastbound on Harupa, and once again, we never did find out exactly what they were chasing him for, but oddly, they're really not chasing him anymore, but maybe he thinks they are.
Well,
they know where he's going.
That could be significant. If he does figure that out and decides to bail out of his vehicle, there aren't any vehicles in position to apprehend him. However, there is the helicopter. But we have seen in the past, it's extremely rare, but they can get into complexes where the helicopter can't see them. If he does that and he bails, there's no vehicles to jump on him quickly, there is a chance that he could get away now that they've pulled off of him like this. However, granted, the greater issue here is safety that they're dealing with. It looks like he's losing some. Did he get off the road, Bill?
He went into the dirt somewhere.
Yeah, he was on Harupa eastbound out of Fontana toward Colton when he found himself onto a dirt or unpaved road, trying to turn back around and trying to re-find his way. We're about a half a mile or so south of Interstate 10. He is going to continue on these unpaved road there. He's back onto a paved road now. This might be Harupa westbound. He may have just turned back, but as you can see, as he goes westbound on Harupa, this is a very poorly illuminated area. It just sits north of Interstate 10, not far from the Tippecanoe off-ramp, just about a block away from the 10 freeway. There's enough room for one car to go eastbound, one car to go westbound, and not very much negotiating room, and he's going to try to get around that guy, just barely missed him. And once again, that is a 3-ton SUV. You clip somebody, and that person is going to feel it. The guy in that Chevy Suburban might not feel it so well. Those are very well-built, heavy machines, but if they tap into somebody, it's going to cause a world of damage. So he'll continue eastbound here on surface streets. There are very few street lights up ahead, so he's going to have to use his own headlights and maybe a little help from the helicopter overhead. Let's open up that shot one more time and see if that looks like a CHP officer. White vehicle just behind him. That's the only vehicle we can see. He's right on top of this guy, and regardless of one person being on top of him or nobody being here, this guy just continues to run. Now we're hearing that San Bernardino County Sheriff's deputies, they're on top of this guy, so they have jumped into the fray. Here's what we've had this afternoon. L.A. County Sheriff's deputies, they were involved. I believe CHP officers, when he was on the freeway, they were involved. World Airport Police, they may have been involved. Now San Bernardino County Sheriffs, they're involved. Picking up the 10 freeway. And David Nellen, as I told you a while ago, in my humble estimation, these pursuits are always dangerous. On surface streets, on freeways, anywhere, everywhere. But when they're on the freeway, I feel a little bit better about it. You've got additional lanes. You've got a wider thoroughfare. And I think, by and large, it's just a little bit safer right now that it's back on the freeway, east on the 10. And I can see off of the nose of the helicopter, he's still several miles out, but he might make that eastbound 10 transition and continue all the way out toward Beaumont and Banning, out toward the Badlands, and maybe, for example, out toward Riverside County and into Palm Springs. He's come a long way. We picked this up out of San Dimas almost an hour ago, about 50 minutes ago, and this guy has not stopped at all, running red lights, stop signs, running onto the wrong side of the street a number of places, narrowly avoiding a number of accidents. We can't even count how many crashes he almost had. Luck is on this guy's side. I'm in a ballpark speeds here at about I'd say 80, maybe 85 miles per hour. It looks like the guys on the freeway are actually going slower. It's just actually that he's going so fast, and those are San Bernardino County Sheriff's deputies right behind him. In no time at all, CHP officers may be called in to join the fray, so they'll have a number of folks tracking this guy. At one point, law enforcement officers, I guess they assumed it was a little too dangerous, so they pulled off and just kept the helicopter overhead, but now they are jumping right back into the fray, chasing this guy off of surface streets, back onto the freeway, eastbound on the 10, and we're going to continue now out toward Beaumont and Banning and see where he ends up next, but showing no signs of slowing down.
The fact that he keeps moving so quickly, it's tough to use some of the tactics that they have, like a spike strip or a pit maneuver. Granted, he is moving way fast for a pit maneuver, but maybe a spike strip if he was basically circling around and they could anticipate where he's going to go. But he doesn't seem to be repeating any of his moves, Bill. He's just kind of moving all the way through Southern California, driving straight ahead, and when he gets to the end of that, he'll turn and keep going in the next direction, but he doesn't seem to be wanting to hang out in one particular neighborhood, which makes it difficult to figure out how to tactically go about this besides just following him. Although, is he slowing down, Bill?
It looks like he is.
He is slowing down. As we told you a while ago, out of San Bernardino, he was heading toward Redlands. We're in Redlands now on the San Bernardino freeway. He may be running out of gas. He may be just getting wise and figuring, this has gone on long enough. It's time to stop. He's going to pull over to the right shoulder of the freeway, eastbound on the 10 in Redlands, city of Redlands. The door is open. He better comply with officers, go wide on the shot. If he doesn't comply with officers, things could get ugly real quick. Backing up toward officers, always dangerous. They could look at that as a threat, a deadly weapon threat. If that guy tries to use that SUV as a threat, that could be a real serious problem. Let's go tight now. He is out of the vehicle, and you can see all the windows are tinted. Let's open up the shot just a bit so you can see these officers. They're on the freeway with him. They haven't closed the freeway yet, but they will shortly. They're telling that guy, stay out of the car, stand up, don't face us, just walk backward toward us, listen to our voices, keep walking backward, keep your hands where we can see them, and then in just a minute they'll tell that guy to get down on the ground, keeping his hands and his feet spread. In a moment they might tell him to lift up his shirt so they'll make sure he hasn't got any weapons on him, but now down on his knees. In just a moment they're telling him very clearly what they want him to do. Get down on the ground, spread your legs out, spread your arms out. We want to see your arms and hands at all times. There they go, spreading those arms out. Now what officers will do, they'll approach that guy very slowly, very gingerly, very safely, and as one officer approaches him, another officer will keep his gun on that suspect. Additional officers, most likely, they'll keep their eyes trained on that SUV in case there are additional suspects inside. All while this is happening, additional resources being brought in to shut the freeway down. You might see that in the next couple of minutes. Open up the shot just a bit, and we'll see if they close the freeway here. Nope, just the two right lanes. Let's go right back in. They're going to approach that suspect. His hands are behind his back. It would appear from Air 7 HD as though this guy is complying with law enforcement. This is going to be just east of the Alabama off-ramp, east on the San Bernardino freeway, on the right shoulder. He pulled over. He may have run out of gas. He may have had some kind of mechanical malfunction. He may have just wanted to stop and give up. In either event, he's down on the ground. He'll stay on the ground. Officers now approaching that SUV to check out and see if there's anybody else inside. It's a real dangerous situation with those tinted windows. You can't see. It looks like by their body language they have cleared the vehicle. They're getting on top of that guy, put the handcuffs on him, and fortunately, after nearly an hour covering a number of counties, a number of interstates, including the 10, the 210, the 57, this guy is being taken into custody, wanted initially only for reckless driving, and the folks taking this guy into custody, these are San Bernardino County Sheriff's deputies. Looks like CHP officers on our left. This guy will be removed from the freeway in the next several minutes, and fortunately, as best as we can tell from the helicopter, there were no accidents. Nobody got hurt, but this could have been deadly. It has come to an end here in Redlands.